Okay, this is chapter 12 of Good Girl, Bad Blood. 12. They sat separated by two laptops on the kitchen island, the tapping of their keys in a pattern that fell in and out of unison. You're going too fast, Pip said to Ravi, peering at him over the top of her screen. We need to look carefully at each one. Oh, he said sarcastically, making a face. Didn't realize we were looking for clues in the night sky. He turned his laptop, showing her 4 consecutive photos of the Chinese lanterns floating against the darkness. Just checking, Grumpus. That's my name for you, he said. You aren't allowed to have it. Pip went back to her screen, clicking through the photos and videos that had been emailed over by Calamity goers. Ravi was going through the memorial photographs. More than 200 had been sent in already. Is this the best use of our time? Ravi skipped quickly through another sequence of photos. We know Jamie went to the Calamity party after the memorial, and now we know he left there alive and well at 10:30. Shouldn't we be trying to track down his movements after that? We know he left the Calamity party, said Pip, but we still don't know why he was there, which is strange enough by itself. And then add to that the phone conversation George heard. It's all behavior that's very out of character. I mean, you saw Connor's face when I told him. It's weird. There's no other word for it. Jamie's behavior starting from the memorial is weird. It has to be relevant to his disappearance somehow. I guess. Ravi returned his gaze to his laptop screen. So we're thinking Jamie spotted someone, whoever they are, at the memorial. He found them in the crowd and waited. Then he followed them when they walked toward Highmore and to the party. Gropey Stephen said it looked like Jamie was just standing there, watching. I think so, Pip said, chewing her bottom lip. That makes the most sense to me, which means that someone is most likely a person at school in my grade or maybe a junior. Why would Jamie follow someone from your school? Pip picked up on the uneasiness in Ravi's voice, though he tried to disguise it. She felt an instinct to defend Jamie, but all she could say was, I really don't know. Nothing about it looked good. She was glad she'd sent Connor home with a 4-page questionnaire about typical password elements for him and his mom to try on Jamie's computer. It would be harder to talk about Jamie with him right there. But Pip was struggling to accept it too. They had to be missing something. Something that would explain why Jamie had been at the party, who he was looking for. It must have been important for him to blow Nat off and ignore all her calls. But what? Pip glanced at the time on the bottom right-hand corner of her screen. It was 4:30, and with Jamie's new last seen alive and well time of 10:32 p.m., he'd now been missing for 42 hours. Just 6 hours to go until the 48-hour mark, the mark by which the majority of missing persons, about 75%, had returned. But Pip had a feeling Jamie wouldn't be one of them. And the next problem, Pip's parents were currently at the supermarket. Her mom had texted to let her know. She'd avoided them all day, and Josh had gone with them, so he was bound to cause some delay with his impulse buying. Last time he'd persuaded Dad to buy 2 bags of carrot sticks, which went to waste when he remembered he didn't actually like carrots. But even with Josh's distractions, they'd be home soon, and there was no way they hadn't seen Jamie's missing posters by now. Well, there was nothing she could do. They just have to deal with it when they got back. Or maybe avoid it even longer by insisting Robbie never leave. Her parents probably wouldn't yell at her in front of him. Pip clicked through more of the photos sent in by Katie C., one of the 6 Katies in her grade. Pip had found evidence of Jamie in only 2 photos of the dozen she'd been through so far, and she wasn't even certain about one of them. It was just the lower part of an arm peeking out behind a group of boys posing for a photo in the hallway. The disembodied arm wore a burgundy shirt that matched Jamie's, and the boxy black watch he'd had on too, so it probably was him, but it gave her no real information other than Jamie had been walking through the party at 9:16 p.m. Maybe that was when he'd first arrived. In the other photo, you could at least see his face in the background behind Javison, a girl in Pip's grade, who was sitting on a blue patterned couch. The camera was focused on Jazz, who was pouting in exaggerated sadness, presumably because of the huge red drink stain down the front of her once very white top. Jamie was standing several feet behind her, beside a darkened bay window. He was a little blurred, but Pip could pinpoint his eyes, staring diagonally out the left side of the frame. His jaw looked tense, like he was gritting his teeth. This must have been when Stephen Thompson saw him. He did look like he was watching someone. The metadata said the photo was taken at 9:38 p.m., so Jamie had been at the party for at least 22 minutes at this point. Had he stood there that whole time, watching? Pip opened another email from Chris Marshall in her AP US History class. She downloaded the attached video file, replaced her headphones, and pressed play. It was a series of stills and short video clips. It must have been Chris's story on either Snapchat or Instagram that he'd saved to his reel. There was a selfie of him and Peter from English downing 2 bottles of beer, followed by a short clip of some guy Pip didn't recognize doing a handstand while Chris cheered him on, voice crackling against the microphone. Next, a close-up of Chris' tongue, which had somehow turned blue. Then another video clip, the sound exploding into Pip's ears, making her flinch. Voices screeched across each other, people loudly chanting, "Peter, Peter," while others in the room booed and jeered and laughed. They were in what looked like a dining room, chairs pushed back from the table, which was set up with plastic cups assembled in 2 triangles on either side. Beer pong. They were playing beer pong. Peter from English was on one side of the table, lining up a shot with a bright orange ping pong ball, one eye screwed shut as he focused. He flicked his wrist and the ball flew out of his hand, landing with a small splash into one of the outlying cups. Pip's headphones vibrated with the screams that erupted around the room. Peter roared in victory as the girl on the other side of the table complained about having to down the drink. But then Pip noticed something else, her eyes straying to the background. She paused the clip. Standing to the right of the bifold glass doors into the living room was Kara, mouth wide as she cheered, a wave of dark liquid erupting from the top of her cup in this frozen moment of time. And there was something else. In the bright yellow lit corridor behind Kara, just disappearing beyond the door, was a foot. A sliver of a leg in jeans, the same color Jamie was wearing that night, and a white sneaker. Pip scrolled the video back 4 seconds, back to before Peter's victory. She pressed play and immediately paused it again. There was a figure out in the hallway. His edges were blurred because he was mid-stride, but he had dark blonde hair and a shirt that looked dark red. He was looking down at the dark object clasped between his hands, a phone. Pip unpaused it and watched as the figure walking quickly down the hallway, ignoring all the commotion in the dining room, eyes on his phone. Kara's head was turned, following his progress for half a second before the ball landed in the cup and the screaming pulled her attention back into the room. 4 seconds. It had to be Jamie. Had to be. The sighting lasted just 4 seconds. Then Jamie was gone, his white sneaker, the very last trace of him. "Found him," Pip said.